You did everything right. You got the job. You hit the number on the scale. You finally moved out, or moved in, or moved on. Somewhere along the way, you checked off the box that 18-year-old you swore would fix everything. And then, nothing. Not nothing like relief. Nothing like silence. Nothing like you expected a fireworks show and got a flickering porch light instead. If that sounds familiar, I need you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. You are not ungrateful. You are not one of those people who just can't be happy. You are running a brain that was never built to reward you for arriving. It was built to reward you for surviving. And those are two very different jobs. Today, I want to walk you through 5 specific reasons your own mind keeps sabotaging the happiness you're chasing. Not vague self-help fluff, but the actual internal logic your brain is running behind the scenes. By the end of this, you'll understand why just think positive was always going to fail you, and what actually works instead. Let's get into it. Reason 1, the Threat-Detector Brain. Here's something most people never stop to consider. Happiness was never the goal of human evolution. Survival was, think about it this way. 2 early humans are walking through tall grass. One of them feels a deep, warm contentment. Life is good, the sun is out, food was plentiful yesterday. The other one is scanning the tree line, half convinced something is watching them. Which one passes on their genes? The anxious one. Every single time, contentment gets you eaten. Vigilance keeps you alive. So over hundreds of thousands of years, we didn't inherit the genes of people who felt at peace. We inherited the genes of people who never quite relaxed. That's the ancestor sitting behind your eyes right now. This is why your brain will happily spend 20 minutes replaying one awkward thing you said in a meeting, but it won't spend 20 seconds acknowledging the 11 things that went right that same day. It's not personal. It's not a character flaw. It's a threat detection system doing exactly the job it was designed to do, just in a world that no longer has tigers in the grass. The problem is, your brain can't always tell the difference between an actual predator and a passive-aggressive text message. Both get flagged as danger. Both trigger the same internal alarm. So you go through your day with a low hum of unease that has no clear source because there's no lion to point at. Just a system that never got the memo that the danger era is mostly over. And here's the part that stings a little. The more successful and stable your life becomes, the louder this system can get, not quieter. Because now your brain has the spare bandwidth to go looking for threats that aren't even there. Ever notice how the calmest weeks are sometimes the ones where your mind invents the most to worry about? That's not a coincidence. An idle threat detector doesn't shut off. It goes hunting. Reason 2, the moving finish line. Somewhere in childhood, most of us absorbed a quiet, dangerous belief. Happiness is a destination. You arrive at once certain conditions are met. Once I get the promotion, once the relationship is stable, once I lose the weight, pay off the debt, buy the house. Then, and only then, I get to relax into being happy. Here's the problem with that belief. It's not just wrong. It's structurally impossible to ever satisfy because your brain doesn't work in fixed reference points. It works in a constantly moving baseline called adaptation. You've probably heard this called the hedonic treadmill, but let's actually sit with what that means instead of just nodding at the term. When something good happens, a raise, a new relationship, a nicer apartment, your happiness genuinely spikes. For a while, life does feel different, but your brain treats that new normal as exactly that. Normal. Within weeks, sometimes days, your baseline resets right back to where it was before. The new apartment becomes just the apartment. The exciting relationship becomes just the relationship. Not because anything is wrong with it, but because your nervous system has already filed it under expected and moved on to scanning. For the next gap, this is why people who win the lottery report on average, returning to roughly the same happiness level within about a year. It's why the promotion you obsessed over for months feels completely unremarkable 4 weeks in. Your brain isn't malfunctioning when this happens. It's doing exactly what it's engineered to do. Treat every achievement as the new baseline. So it can immediately start scanning for the next threat or the next gap. If happiness is a finish line, you will never cross it because the line moves the moment you get close. Every milestone just becomes the new starting point for the next milestone. You're not failing to arrive. There was never anywhere to arrive at. The people who actually feel settled aren't the ones who found the right finish line. They're the ones who stopped running toward one and instead built a life that felt worth living in the meantime, regardless of whether the next thing on the list ever happened. Reason 3. Comparison. You never chose 20 years ago. Your reference point for how well am I doing was your neighborhood, your workplace, maybe a few dozen people you actually knew. Now it's everyone. Every scroll puts you shoulder to shoulder with a highlight reel from thousands of strangers. Their best angle, their best month, their carefully cropped version of a life you're seeing maybe 4 seconds of. And your brain, which evolved to compare itself against the 50 or so people in its actual tribe, has no idea how to process comparing itself to 5,000 curated lives a day. Here's the mechanism nobody explains properly. Your sense of enough isn't absolute. It's relative. It's calculated by your brain constantly, unconsciously, measuring your current position against whatever data set it has access to. For most of human history, that data set was small and local, so enough was achievable. Today, that data set is functionally infinite, which means enough has quietly become a moving target that no real human life can catch. You didn't consciously decide to measure your body against filtered photos, your income against people who inherited money, your relationship against a 2-minute highlight clip. Your brain just absorbed all of it as data and recalculated your baseline downward without asking your permission. This is why you can have a genuinely good day, a good job, people who love you, your health intact, and still close the app feeling like you're somehow behind. You're not behind. You're comparing a full, complicated, ordinary life against an edited trailer, and your ancient comparison circuitry doesn't know how to discount for editing. The uncomfortable truth is that this isn't something willpower fixes. You can't just decide to stop comparing. The mechanism runs beneath conscious control. What you can control is how much raw comparison data you're feeding it every day, and how deliberately you remind yourself, out loud if you have to, that you are looking at a highlight reel and living a full season. Reason 4. The over-optimized life. This one's uncomfortable, so stay with me. At some point, most of us, especially anyone even remotely ambitious, start running every hour of the day through a silent filter. Is this productive? Reading has to build your career. Exercise has to optimize your body. Even rest has to be recovery so you can perform better tomorrow. Every activity gets justified through some downstream benefit, and if it doesn't produce one, it starts to feel like a waste. Here's what that filter quietly destroys. Your capacity for activities that exist purely because they feel good. With zero payoff attached, watch a kid play. They're not building a skill portfolio. They're not networking. They're drawing something ridiculous or building something pointless out of whatever's lying around, purely because the doing of it feels good in the moment. That is not immaturity. That's a nervous system that hasn't yet learned to demand a return on every experience. Somewhere along the way, most adults get trained out of that. And when you strip all unjustified pleasure out of your life, when literally everything has to earn its place on your calendar, you don't just lose some fun activities. You lose access to an entire category of experience your brain relies on for regulation. Flow states, spontaneous enjoyment, the simple pleasure of doing something with no stakes attached. These aren't luxuries. They're maintenance. And when maintenance stops, the system doesn't crash immediately. It just slowly, quietly starts to feel flat, gray, fine, but never good. You don't need to overhaul your life to fix this. You need permission to do one useless thing a week, purely because it feels good, with absolutely no goal attached to it. Not for your resume, not for your following, not for your growth, just because. Reason 5, trained to notice what's missing. Last one, and honestly, this might be the most important. Your brain runs on something psychologists call negativity bias, a hardwired tendency to register bad experiences far more intensely and far more permanently than good ones. One sharp criticism from your boss will echo in your head for days. 10 compliments from that same week will barely register. This isn't a personality trait. It's an ancient survival mechanism. A missed threat could kill you. A missed opportunity for pleasure, historically, usually just meant you missed out on pleasure. Annoying, but survivable. So your brain evolved to weight the two very differently. Threats got flagged in bold, underlined, saved to long-term memory. Good moments got a quick glance and then filed away and forgotten. Multiply that bias across every single day of your life, and you get a mind that has spent years, maybe decades, training itself to specialize in noticing what's wrong, what's missing, what didn't happen. Meanwhile, the things that did go right passed through completely unregistered. Like background noise your brain didn't think was worth saving. This is why you can list every mistake you made this year without thinking. But if I asked you right now to name 5 things that went genuinely well, you'd probably have to sit there and actually search for them. Not because good things didn't happen, because your brain never built a strong enough filing system to keep track of them. Here's the part that should actually give you hope. This bias is not fixed. It's a trained pattern, which means it can be retrained. Attention is a muscle, and right now, most of us have spent years exclusively training the notice what's wrong muscle while letting the notice what's right muscle completely atrophy. Here's where this actually leaves you. Your brain isn't broken. It's not defective. It's not uniquely bad at being happy compared to everyone else who has it figured out. It's running exactly the software it was designed to run. Threat detection system optimized for survival. On the savannah, dropped into a world of infinite comparison, moving finish lines, over-optimized schedules, and a filing system that only saves the bad news. None of that changes with a single video. It doesn't change with motivation either. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unreliable by design. What changes it is small, repeated, deliberate friction against the default pattern. You don't need to fix all 5 of these at once. That's a guaranteed way to change nothing. Pick one. Maybe it's catching yourself mid-scroll and reminding yourself you're watching a highlight reel, not a full life. Maybe it's doing one genuinely useless, joyful thing this week with 0 productivity attached. Maybe it's simply asking yourself before bed tonight, what actually went right today? And forcing your brain to search for an answer instead of defaulting to what went wrong. Small friction, repeated daily, is the only thing that ever actually rewires a pattern this deep. Not intensity. Not one big dramatic overhaul. Repetition. If this actually landed for you, tell me in the comments which one of these 5 hit hardest. I read every single one, and it genuinely shapes what I make next. And if you know someone who's been quietly running themselves into the ground, chasing a finish line that doesn't exist, send them this. Sometimes the most useful thing you can do for someone isn't advice. It's just handing them the right explanation at the right moment. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.